Let's take a look at some interesting snap count numbers from West Virginia's first ever conference win over Oklahoma. Let's go. What's going on, Mountaineer Nation? Jordan Cruz back here with the Country Roads Webcast. And before we get into this video, I just want to give you guys a quick reminder. If you would, do us a favor, scroll down, hit that thumbs up, give us that like. That'll really help this video's performance and help future videos' performances here on the channel. And if you haven't already, do us a favor, hit that subscribe button. Helps us, helps you, helps get more of this Mountaineer sports content out to Mountaineer Nation. And as always, link to our merch store in the video description box down below. Get you a Country Roads Webcast hat, shirt, sticker, coffee mug, you name it. You can find it with the CRW logo there on it. And we really appreciate your support as we continue to try and grow the Country Roads Webcast community throughout Mountaineer Nation. Having said that, let's get into it. All right. So continuing our weekly snap count series that we started mid-season here, that we've been trying to cover, for every game since then, and going to try and do it for, of course, the remainder of the season. This will be for the 10th game, the win over Oklahoma. West Virginia finally breaks through in the Big 12, gets their first Big 12 win over Oklahoma. First time beating the Sooners since 2008 in that Fiesta Bowl following the 2007 season. Third time beating them overall. Beat them at 82 with Jeff Hostetler and Don Nealon as well. But West Virginia, finally gets a win over Oklahoma in the Big 12. Say what you want about the Oklahoma team that they beat this year. I know it's probably the worst one West Virginia's seen since they joined the Big 12 by far. Nonetheless, West Virginia did manage to get it done and get a victory over Oklahoma in a game a lot of people thought that they wouldn't. West Virginia has had to do it with some young faces, some new faces. I know we saw a quarterback change. We saw a young quarterback, Garrett Green, really shine in the game, but we saw a lot of other young players get involved in the action as well. So let's take a look at some of the interesting snap count numbers that stood out in this game. Let's start with that Mountaineer offense in which Garrett Green led and then ended up leading a game-winning scoring drive, and he scored multiple touchdowns himself, over 100 yards passing, over 100 yards rushing, in a great performance. And the offense was truly balanced in this game. 406 yards total offense, 203 rushing, 203 passing. Looking at some of the snap count numbers for that offense, going down here, lowest snap counts on the offense. Cortez Braham, 11 snaps. I've said it before here on the snap count series, and I'll repeat it again. Would love to see him get more. I think he looks like a guy that's got great hands and can make some plays when he does get in there, and he seems to contribute in the little action that he does see. Jalen Anderson playing 14 snaps. I think he saw a lot of that after Justin Johnson. They maybe decided he didn't play, or either that or they was punishing him for the fumble that he had. But either way, Jalen Anderson kind of got the rest of the snaps from there on out. But if you ask me, I believe that Justin Johnson's a little banged up still. Maybe that's what caused the fumble. I don't know. Looked like just a perfectly, hit head on helmet on the ball type forced fumble for the defense. But nonetheless, Justin Johnson doesn't play after that, so maybe they're still going to let him nurse that injury. Saw a little bit more of Jalen Anderson. Mixed bag. No, he missed one block in pass protection that kind of hurt West Virginia at one point, but then he did some good things and other times, pass blocking, and then even on a couple runs that he did have there, a couple carries he did do decently with there. So, like I said, redshirt freshman being called upon late in this season, the latter part of this season since about the midway point. And I think he's going to continue to be for the remainder of the season. And of course, moving forward, if he does stick with the Mountaineers. But I think he's a guy with good potential. So Jalen Anderson with 14 snaps and also 14 snaps alongside him, and goes hand in hand with what I talked about with Cortez Braham. And that's Jeremiah Aaron. He had 14 snaps. And I'd like to see both those JUCO guys get involved in the action more. Who knows if they will or not this season. It seems like they're kind of keeping their snap counts maxed out 15, 20 at most. Usually don't even reach that 20. It's somewhere between 10 to 15, as we've seen here on the snap count series. Justin Johnson, as I said, 16 snaps. Told you the story there. I think he's still banged up, didn't come back in after his fumble. Reese Smith, 22 snaps. JT Daniels ended up totaling 28 snaps in the game. Started the game off, struggled similarly to the way that he did the week prior when he went 8 of 22 for 81 yards. Threw another interception, still wasn't on target. Something's off with the guy. I've said it, countless times. I'll say it again. Don't want to speculate on an injury one way or the other, but something's definitely off with him, and he's definitely not the quarterback we saw the first couple of games. So he gets pulled, Garrett Green, for a series or two, gets even another chance to go back in, looks the same, gets pulled again. Garrett Green rides it out, for the final drive of the first half and for the remainder of the second half. And we'll see what happens moving forward this week against Kansas State if JT Daniels totals any snaps again. So be on the lookout for the snap count series, following the Kansas State game if they do end up splitting time to see who won out snap count wise. In this one, it was 28 snaps for JT Daniels and 63 snaps for Garrett Green. Traylon Davis, 30 snaps at tight end. I think that we saw a good amount of 12 personnel for the Mountaineers with Polende and Davis, probably the most we've seen that. And that's also 30 snaps, maybe the most snaps that Traylon Davis has gotten in a game this season, if I'm not mistaken. Right tackle, 43 for Jaquay Hubbard, 48 for Brandon Yates, actually outpacing Hubbard there at right tackle in snaps. One of the first times in a while I've seen that as well. And like I said, heavy use of the tight ends in this game. Brian Polende gets 60 snaps. Tony Mathis playing with an elbow injury that would keep a lot of people out, 61 snaps for him. And then for your top snaps at receivers, you go 72 for Prather, 75 for James, 80 for Ford Wheaton, the usual suspects there. And how about the Mountaineer offensive line here? Shout out to them playing, the four besides the two that split at right tackle, playing, every snap, of course. Doug Nestor, Zach Frazier, Thomas Rimac, and Wyatt Milam all piling up 91 snaps there for the offense. Let's flip over to the defensive side and talk about some of these snap counts. Jalen Thornton, who, I mentioned last week in our snap count series, he got in on some action there as well, finally starting to get involved. I think he would have been involved earlier in this season if that injury hadn't hampered him to start the season, but finally getting in on the mix a little bit. He gets 2 snaps on defense in this game. Lance Dixon playing that new role as the, spear for West Virginia, gets 8 snaps there, mixed results, but definitely, they're trying to wean him back in on the action there. He does get eight snaps. Another player they're trying to ease back into the action that's been, dealing with an injury, Jacoby Spells, 10 snaps in this game. Eddie V, 17 snaps. Mike Lockhart, 21 snaps. So you see the rotation of the defensive line there working pretty good as well as you see Linnell Carr at Bandit rotating with Jared Bartlett a little bit. Got 22 snaps. At safety, Hershey McLaurin gets 26 snaps. And I've really liked what I've seen from that JUCO talent McLaurin this season. Personally, I like him and Burks at safety. I know they both are playing the free safety position, but I think if they both stick around, you could see one of those two transition to cat safety if Marcus Floyd, moves on, which I think that he will. I think you'll see either Burks or McLaren transition over to that cat safety position to get both those guys on the field at the same time, and I think that'd be good for the Mountaineers. Wesley McCormick, cornerback, been much maligned this season, much maligned position for West Virginia, and has been injury riddled. McCormick's been a victim of that. He's back, 28 snaps for him. 28 snaps for Taj Alston. We know the emergence of Sean Martin has been big this season. That continued in this game. Sean Martin ends up with 2 snaps, but Taj Alston did get in there and make some plays as well. He finished with 28 snaps in the game. Rashad Ajayi at that cornerback position, another corner that's been injured, but he's back now, and he does get 38 snaps. The aforementioned Sean Martin with 44. Marcus Floyd playing the cat safety for the Mountaineers, 49 snaps. Jordan Jefferson, 50 snaps. Jared Bartlett at the Bandit position, 50 snaps. Dante Stills played 54 snaps on the D-line. And then Jasir Cox, who had his best game as a Mountaineer by far, got 64 snaps there playing that. He kind of switches off playing that spear, which he came here to play. He's been playing that a little bit, but they've really kind of used him at the wheel linebacker spot as well a little bit. Him and Exree Lowe kind of mix and match in there, and they're just really mix and matching how they're using those guys a lot as well. It's almost like none of them have a true position when it comes to Lance Dixon and Jasir Cox right now with how they've been moving the defense around so much. And I think how much they've had to adjust it week to week due to the injuries that the West Virginia has had. You've seen Jasir Cox playing wheel linebacker. You've seen him playing spear. You've seen him even playing, the deep safety equivalent at times. And then, of course, Lance Dixon transferring over to spear safety, came to West Virginia as a linebacker. So they've really had to kind of finagle things defensively. But just Jasir Cox, no matter where they put him on the field, I think has played good at times, and definitely in this game, but when he got 64 snaps. And then how about the cornerback that got the most snaps in this game being Malachi Ruffin with 68? When we talk about moving players around, we got to talk about Malachi Ruffin. Came to West Virginia, walk on, probably didn't expect to play as much, early in his career. And then here he is, late in the later part of his career. West Virginia wanted to transition him to safety. They thought they might need some help at safety, some depth at safety. So that was their plan for him this season. But with the injuries at cornerback, especially Charles Woods in the first game, and then, cornerbacks going down left and right since then, it seems Malachi Ruffin's had to go back to cornerback where they had to use him in the past because they just didn't have players there and didn't have depth there. And Malachi Ruffin has really filled in, and I think he's really progressed nicely. We've seen him do some good things in the past couple of weeks, and even look at him this game, getting the most snaps at corner for West Virginia with playing 68. And then, of course, Lee Coba, we know he doesn't come out much. West Virginia doesn't have really too, for whatever reason, the Tyreek Austin Cave situation. I've talked about it here before. He's healthy now, but for whatever reason, they're still not using Tyreek Austin Cave. Don't know what's happening with that. We'll see how that progresses moving forward. Hate that. I think Austin Cave's a guy that's got talent, but who knows? Obviously, the coaches, something's going on there, but I don't know the situation. So just wanted to preface this, with when I'm talking about Liko, but not getting spelled at Mike. That's the guy that was supposed to come spell him, and we still haven't really seen him at all this season. When Leakoba has been spelled, it's been, the walk on Caden Bowser and then Trey Lathan in a game or two as well. But this game plays almost every snap, 69 snaps, edge reload, same way, 72 snaps. They're playing the linebacker for Mountaineers. And, the top performer on defense, arguably for the Mountaineers in the latter part of the season, I guess, well, I don't want to say the whole defense, but definitely I think the back end and probably the strongest player I've seen there throughout the season consistently since he's came back from his early season injury that he suffered, I believe, against Pitt, is Aubrey Burks, and he has 72 snaps as well to lead the defense. So that's just kind of a look at the interesting snap count numbers from this game against Oklahoma. Comment below. Let me know if anything there stands out to you, any thoughts you have or any questions you have in regards to the snap count numbers in this game or in recent weeks, or who do you think, we'll see playing time moving forward, or any of these that you think will change. Anything you're feeling there, just let me know in the comments below. We really appreciate the interaction. That really helps us here as we continue to try and grow the Country Roads webcast community throughout Mountaineer Nation. And in turn with that, one thing that really helps us do that, like I said earlier, if you haven't already, scroll down, just hit that thumbs up button right there for us. Give us that like. It'll help this video's performance and help future videos performances here on the channel. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Helps us, helps you, helps get more of this Mountaineer sports content out to Mountaineer Nation. Having said that, as always, I'm Jordan Cruz. And until next time, let's go, Mountaineers.